When the Pokémon Company released the 8th movie in the series, they gave the main role in the film to a new Pokémon which later became one of the most popular creatures of the franchise. But Lucario's importance goes beyond its popularity between the fans, being probably the most relevant non-legendary Pokémon for the lore of the games. Alchemy, martial arts, esoteric practices, and different religions are just some of the ideas resting within Lucario's design, and they are the answer to the greatest mysteries of the Pokémon world. 2005's Lucario and the Mystery of Mew was the first time we saw the Aura Pokémon, and also some lore-wise important concepts for the franchise. The film is known in Japan as Mew and the Wave Hero, Lucario, Wave being the Japanese name for auras. This particular energy Lucario is able to see. The aura is described in the movie to be the essence of every living creature, some sort of spiritual energy. But what is this energy and how is Lucario capable of perceiving it? Let's take a look to Lucario's biology. Lucario is a bipedal Pokémon with an almost canine, yet anthropomorphic body. The design is influenced by Anubis, the Egyptian god of mummification, the judge of hearts and guide of souls to the afterlife. The Egyptian influence is also present in Mega Lucario, where we can see the Eye of Horus, an ancient religious symbol of protection, intended to defend the pharaoh in the afterlife. Anubis' hair turns into the 4 appendages from Lucario's head, appendages which I'll refer to as braids from now on. These braids are actually aura-sensing organs. The braids grow in size and number within evolution, indicating a level of mastery over auras. Riolu has only 2, being a novice. Lucario has 4, being more experienced in this discipline. Meanwhile, Mega Lucario has 4 larger braids, indicating how strong its aura-sensing abilities have become upon reaching this new form. This seems to be influenced by the Chakra, known in Japan as shakujo, a staff used by Buddhist monks with a number of 4 to 12 metallic rings, indicating the grade of experience of the monk, similar to Lucario's appendages. The Chakra was used as a summoning staff during the monks' daily alms rounds, which have a symbolic connection with the spiritual realm, as it is the beginning of the monk's journey to Nirvana. The word Chakra is Sanskrit for the sounding staff. Buddhist monks were usually under a vow of silence, so they will shake the staff using the noise produced by the rings to announce their presence. Shaolin monks also used the shakujo as a weapon, something that in Japan influenced the development of the Shorinji Kenpo, a modified version of Shaolin Kung Fu. Shaolin monks will be important later, but for now, what is important to us is how Lucario seems to be some sort of living Chakra. Its aura-sensing organs are based on the rings from the staff used to produce sound. One of the few people known to be capable of seeing and manipulating aura is Riley. Riley can be found throughout anime, games, and manga, always being accompanied by his Lucario. In the manga, he explains that auras are waves, produced by both humans and Pokémon, which behave on a similar way to sound. The similarities are also present in the Pokémon's Learn set. Metal Sound and Bone Rush are clearly referenced to the usage of the Chakra. Not to mention, Aura Guardians are a similar concept to monks. And there is also Sir Aaron, the Aura Guardian who appears in the movie carrying a staff which looks really similar to the Chakra, with the rings now replaced by something similar to Lucario's head appendages. The Pokédex makes very clear that Lucario's aura grows stronger after Mega Evolution, and this also provokes Lucario's combative instincts to flourish. This is what happens with Corina's Lucario in the anime, who after Mega Evolving completely loses control over his power. Gurken later explains that this happened because of Lucario's inability to control his own aura. now increased by Mega Evolution. There is a high chance that Lucario being the first Pokémon to Mega Evolve using a Mega Stone is a consequence of its sensibility to auras, and this is why Corina is one of the few people to talk about auras in the games. But why? Why does the successor of the Mega Evolution guru know about them? What is their connection with Mega Evolution? Okay, so far we have some kind of spiritual energy present in living creatures which works with waves. This sounds really similar to the life force used to revive AC's Floette. During the Kalos War, AC used the stones we see in Route 10 to absorb the life force of many Pokémon in order to bring his Floette back to life. Then we learned in the Delta episode, thanks to Mr. Stone, that Devon's greatest products were developed thanks to the use of infinity energy, which in Mr. Stone's words was created as a way of using the dreadful ultimate weapon's power to improve the lives of people and Pokémon. The energy from the ultimate weapon is infinity energy, described in the Azothe files to be the same as the evolution energy responsible for Mega and Primal evolution. So looks like the Mega Evolution energy is the life force of Pokémon. Having this in mind, we should check the Anistar City Sundial. The sundial sends some of its light to Megastones located underground in different points of the region. According to Professor Sycamore, the same happens during Mega Evolution. He compares how Megastones transform feelings felt towards Pokémon into wavelengths, with how the sundial turns sunlight into the mysterious light of the Megastones. So now we have wavelengths and light as manifestations of feelings and infinity energy. This is similar to how auras work with waves, as both aura and infinity energy come from the life force of living creatures. This could very well mean that they are different forms of the same thing. Maybe this is why both Riley and his movie counterpart, Sir Aaron, have this symbol as part of their clothing, symbol that also appears in Groudon's hands, hinting towards a connection between the Aura Guardians and the Weather Trio. The idea of auras as a visual manifestation of the vital force within creatures is taken from New Age beliefs. The New Age notion of auras comes from the reinterpretation of ancient religious ideas from Hinduism and Buddhism, mainly chakras, made by members of the Mystic Theosophical Society during the first years of the 20th century. Auras started to be used in pseudoscientific alternative medicine, being understood as the spiritual reflection of specific parts of the body. During the 70s, the mainstream idea of auras would be influenced by the book Nuclear Evolution, The Rainbow Body, by esotericist Christopher Hills. Thanks to his book, the chakras became a big part of the New Age movement, and now the different colors of the auras had different meanings, like personality traits. This is why in Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness and Sky, after answering the personality quiz, the game reads the player's aura and assigns it a color. There is also Kirlian photography, the process of taking pictures while passing voltage through the photographic paper, ending with a silhouette surrounded with a very peculiar glow. This happens because of the moisture of the object being photographed. The electricity generates an area of gas ionization around the object. The ionization is caused by the exposure of the paper to electromagnetic radiation, which manifests itself in the world throughout various wavelengths, like radio waves or visible light, like the light and energy from Mega Evolution, the Ultimate Weapon and Anistar City's Sundial, and something I mentioned in a different theory, the radio waves used by Team Rocket to force the Red Gyarados from the Lake of Rage to evolve. The New Age aura was influenced by the Indian idea of chakras. The word chakra has roots in both Sanskrit and Greek, meaning wheel or cycle. They are seen in the tantric religions as the focal points of psychic energy. This energy is what is claimed to be aura by the New Age clairvoyants. But what is the psychic energy? Well, Hindu tradition explains humans as beings who exist simultaneously in two different planes of existence, physical and spiritual. The physical dimension is known as the physical body, while the spiritual dimension represents the psychological and emotional aspects of human life, known as the subtle body. A good way to explain this is seeing them as energy and mass. The dichotomy is common to many different cultures and often interpreted as a way of understanding the coexistence of body and mind, as a way of explaining experiences like sleep and dreaming. Some say there are around 80,000 chakras in the subtle body, but the most important ones vary between 4 and 7, all of them located in vertical position along the spinal cord. Each chakra corresponds with a part of the body and are the points of intersection connected by nadi, channels through which the psychic energy flows between the chakras. This system is really similar to some interpretations of the Kabbalistic tree of life. More on that later. The psychic energy is known as prana, the vital force of Hindu philosophy, explained in religious texts to come from the sun and to be the unified force of the elements. The goal of the practitioners of the tantric religions was to master the chakras, thus the sun energy, with a set of many breathing exercises, like meditation, practice shared with yoga and qigong, where the life force is known as qi. Both have connections with Zen Buddhism, and this takes us back to the Shaolin monks. This is why, as Lucario, Minxiao and Medicham are some of the few Pokémon who learn Aura Sphere by leveling up, being based on Shaolin Kung Fu and the yoga. But the influence of the subtle body on Pokémon's aura doesn't end here. The Tree of the Beginning, named the Tree of the World's Beginning in Japan, was introduced to the series at the same time as auras. The tree is actually a living organism made up of rocks, with a symbiotic relationship with Mew. It is mentioned in the movie that the tree absorbs sunlight and transforms it in nutrients. The nutrients are distributed through the roots of the tree, which extend far beyond the tree itself, reaching the kingdom of Rota, where the film takes place. They actually come out of the ground as crystals in some places, and Aura Guardians use the crystals to communicate with other Guardians by touching them, while also using their aura, as seen with Lucario and Sir Aaron. This already sounds familiar. The life force of the tree is sunlight, like the prana from tantric tradition, and the energy of the sundial and the megastones in Kalos. There is actually in the heart of the tree an interesting structure very similar in shape but different in color to the sundial. The megastones from Kalos are also located underground, so there is a high chance that they are connected to the sundial in a similar fashion to the case of the crystals and the tree. Another point connecting the aura from the Tree of Beginning with the sundial is that the tree is an ecosystem. Many creatures live within it, some of them are even fossil Pokémon. This is already a reference to Jules Verne's book Journey to the Center of the Earth, where the characters travel to, the center of the Earth. They go down through the crater of a volcano after finding a runic text written by an Icelandic alchemist. In the core of the planet, they found a habitat where many prehistoric creatures live. But the most interesting thing about this is that the text was written in runes, the language of the Germanic tribes of Europe. One of them, the Norse. And Norse mythology has another tree with creatures living within it. Yggdrasil, the World Tree, connecting the 9 realms of Norse cosmology. And we not only have runes in the rocks we saw in the trailer for Sword and Shield, same as in the Lucario movie. There are also 3 Pokémon based on the creatures from Yggdrasil: Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. Xerneas and Yveltal are the 2 Pokémon whose light was compared by Sycamore to be like the one from the Sundial and Mega Evolution. Together, the 3 are known as the Aura Trio, as their abilities are Dark Aura, Fairy Aura, and Aura Break. The close relationship between Mega Evolution, Primal Energy, and the Vital Force of Pokémon was mentioned in the Azot files. The Azot is actually an important concept in alchemy. The Azot is linked in the Jewish esoteric Kabbalah to the Tree of Life. Here, Azot is seen as Ein Sof, the ultimate essence, God prior to self-manifestation, the sheer potentiality of creation, the origin, the infinite light. The prana was seen in India as the light of the sun, unifying the elements of creation. Azot was seen as the first outflow of this creation, and also as the divine fiery water, the flaming river, pouring from the eternal mind to the 4 rivers of the elements. Then Azot goes down the Tree of Life as light, until it reaches the last Sephiroth of the tree, Malkuth, the Earth. But the path between Malkuth and the previous Sephiroth, Yesod, is why we are here. This section of the tree is the most dense part of the astral plane, right before the physical world, from which the souls descend to the earth to enter physical bodies. Here all the souls exist as one singular energy, sometimes named Anima Mundi, or World Soul, or the Path of Saturn, or Arceus. The Arceus manifest in all the living creatures in 4 grades of density. Chemical Arceus, responsible for the chemical processes of the body. Life Arceus is the life force of the creatures. Light Arceus is the medium through which the characteristics travel down to their physical bodies, and the Reflective Arceus, the reflection of the spiritual world in the physical. The Life Arceus, and this is the life force of creatures, can be seen by clairvoyance as blue and white lights coming out of the bodies, same as the auras in Pokémon. All of this, especially in the Reflective Arceus, is understood as the parallel between spiritual and corporeal worlds, the alchemical as above, so below. They are the subtle body, here known as etheric body, which is connected to the etheric plane, the mental world connected with the physical plane in the path of Saturn. But why the word etheric? Many ancient cultures believed the earth was surrounded by crystalline spheres where the celestial bodies were found. This is the astral world, and what are the spheres made of? Ether, the quintessence, the 5th element after fire, water, air, and earth. This is heavily linked to the Azot, because ether was also what the celestial spheres were filled with. These ideas are reflected in the Azot of the philosophers, a diagram showing the parts of the Azot, the most important astral bodies: the sun, the moon, and a chunk of ether, representing the celestial spheres. This is the inspiration behind the Ether Foundation and the legendary Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma, whose light was explained by the Ultra Recon Squad to be the energy behind sea moves, sea crystals, and the auras of totem Pokémon. They repeatedly use the word aura to refer to Necrozma's power, and let's not forget, Necrozma absorbs energy from its trainer while performing its characteristic sea move. The trainer ends exhausted, meaning this energy could be related to the life force of creatures. How does this relate to Lucario? Well, the souls had to travel between the physical and spiritual worlds, going through the spheres up to the Anima Mundi, this being Azot. And Azot was commonly referred to as Mercury, a liquid metal, and was represented by the caduceus, the staff carried by the Greek god Hermes, Mercury for the Romans. He was the god on charge of guiding the souls to the afterlife. through the spheres, same as the Egyptian Anubis, the inspiration for Lucario. The Greeks actually invaded Egypt during the Ptolemaic period, and this caused a cultural exchange resulting in the creation of a hybrid god, who later became really important for some alchemical texts. Hermanubis, a god with the body and staff of Hermes and the head of Anubis, going full circle.